All right, hi everybody. So, we're going to talk about eclipses. You should have a notes page for this that you're going to fill in the blanks as we go along. Oh, I'm trying to navigate. It doesn't like it. All right. So, I'm not clicked in, that's why. There we go. So, eclipses. So, our essential questions will be, can you describe how the positions of the sun, moon, and earth determine the type of eclipse? And can you model how the shadow cast in an eclipse causes a partial or a total? So, those are the things we're hoping to understand by the time we're done with this. Okay, we're going to do the brain pop separately, not right now. So, an eclipse is when there's a total or partial obscuring. Obscure means to cover up or make something harder to see. So if I'm right now obscuring my eyes, okay? So when we obscure something, it's covering it up. There are two types of eclipses for us, solar and lunar. In a solar eclipse, the moon passes between the earth and the sun to totally or partially obscure the earth's view of the sun. So our view of the sun. So we're not able to fully see the sun. It's a solar eclipse because the sun is getting blocked. The moon is always in the new moon position for a solar eclipse. Always. That's the only time that it can happen, because that's the only time that the moon is going to come between the earth and the sun and cast a shadow on the earth. Make sure you're filling in your paper. In a lunar eclipse, the earth is in the middle, between the moon and the sun, and the earth is casting a shadow onto the moon, blocking it out. This only happens when the moon is in a full moon phase. Why? Because that's the only time the earth can come in the middle and block it. Right? So that should be easy to remember if you're thinking about how these happen in your head. In order for the moon to block out the sun, the moon has to be in the middle. So the moon has to be new moon. In order for the earth to block the moon, then the moon has to be in full moon. Okay? And here's a little picture of a eclipse. So we're not going to cut out the template right now. But you will have diagrams that you're going to look at and other things. And I recommend you to copy them down as well. But always, I want to actually pause and say that. Anytime you're studying for things like this and you're trying to remember what something looks like, how something looks like, draw a picture of it yourself. Make sure it looks correct. But take some time to draw a picture. Jot down this picture on the edge of your paper right now, maybe. Pause and do that. Because you need to try to be able to remember these visuals, okay? We say it's a total solar eclipse when all of the light of the sun is blocked out completely. Okay? Completely. We call it a partial when it's partial. Okay? So the moon is just blocking out part of it, and like here you can see it leaves over this shape, right? An annular eclipse is when the moon is at its furthest point in the orbit, so the furthest away from Earth that it ever gets. And so because of like how things look different sizes, like if I put my hand really close to the camera, it looks like it's covering everything up. But if I put it farther, it's just covering my face. Put it even farther, it's only covering part of my face, right? So the closer something is, the bigger it looks. The farther something is, the smaller it looks. Look how small my hand looks now, right? And so when the moon is at its farthest point in the orbit, it's not quite big enough to cover the whole sun. And so annular means like a ring. That's what it means, like a ring. And so it's showing that ring around the moon, that ring of light. I believe this happened on the last big one that we had. I believe it was annular, or it was almost annular. I feel like I remember seeing pictures like this. And so this is that thin ring of light. Okay? A total lunar, so those were solar. Now we're back to lunar, is when the moon is completely in the umbra, or in the totally darkest part. We know already that these only occur in the full moon phase, and you're only going to see this part at night. A lunar eclipse is partial when the moon is in the lighter part of the shadow. So let me go back. We're calling that darkest part the umbra. Pokemon people, you know Umbreon. Umbra means shadow. You also know, anybody, even not a Pokemon person, umbrella. What is an umbrella? It's something that gives you a shadow. Umbra means shadow. And so the penumbra means like not quite the darkest part. Okay, if I say ultimate, I mean it's the last. If I say penultimate, I mean it's the next to last. So the penumbra is shadowy, but not all the way. Okay, and so when the moon goes through the penumbra of the shadow, then it's a partial eclipse, and it's not quite so dramatically dark. So here's a diagram of that umbra. So in this darkest part, right behind, in that deepest part of the shadow, concentrated shadow, that's the umbra. It's like a cone shape, like an ice cream cone, and the earth is the ice cream. And that's where it's a total eclipse. The penumbra is the less intense part of the shadow that would cause a partial eclipse. Okay? And the light source, in this case, this is the sun, right? Okay. At this point, your notes should be filled out. Okay? So let's look at some examples though. You can see a total solar when you're under the umbra. You can see a total solar when you're under the umbra. Okay? And I'm sorry. I think I misspoke a couple slides ago. The moon is the ice cream, not the earth. Sorry, the moon, this is the moon, is the ice cream on the cone, okay? Anyways, I just want to clarify that. So here I have, this is the moon, like I said, it's the ice cream on the cone, and then I have the earth here. If I'm at point C, I'm seeing a total eclipse. If I'm at point B, I'm seeing a partial eclipse. This is why when we have lunar eclipses, you'll hear them talk about like the path of the eclipse. This is what they mean. This is what they mean. Whether you're in the path to be in the totally darkest part or the kind of dark parts. Okay? So in that penumbra, you have a partial. Okay? And what about lunar eclipses? Same rules. You can see a total if the moon's in the umbra, but instead of casting this onto the earth, it's just about where the moon is instead. Okay? And so this one is a total when it's a blood moon because it causes that little bit of light that's left. You know, the weaker a light gets, the more reddish it can look. And in this case, it's being kind of filtered by that shadow. And you get this really red blood moon. And so here's the partial. Here we go. So it's almost like it's creating a moon phase, right? I mean, this looks like some of our moon phases, and it's like covering up part of it. Okay, so a penumbra is when it goes through the penumbra. A partial, right there is on the edge where some's in the penumbra, some's in the umbra, and then the total is totally in the umbra. Okay, now this is from 2017, so this was the path in 2017, but that's a good example of a path that it will take. Okay, so you need to be able to describe the different types of eclipses, model them, meaning you can show me where's the earth, where's the sun, where's the moon, and model what is the penumbra and the umbra, that cone and the not really cone. Okay, those are the things you need to be able to do. If you can't do those things, you're not ready to take a mastery check, for example. Okay? All right. That should be the end of your notes sheet, which means put it in your binder, keep it safe, and move on to your next activity. All right?